Can I ask you something? Have you ever had to say goodbye to a place that you loved? Not because life asked you to, but because you wanted to? I used to think the hardest part about moving abroad would be arriving somewhere new, but it wasn't. The hardest part was leaving, because sometimes you don't realize how much a place has become a part of you until it's time to let it go. Every place changes us a little. Every person leaves something behind. Every season of life has a story. Welcome to Stories from Somewhere. I'm April Betts. Come with me as we explore the places, people, and moments that shape who we become. Can I tell you a secret? So, when I first moved to Portugal, I was actually not 100% sure I was actually going to be able to stay here long term because I had applied for the visa and it takes about 90 days for the visa to be approved. And I had waited the 90 days and I hadn't gotten a word back yet. So I had saw that other people had decided to go ahead and leave and fly over to Portugal with their passport. And then once they were approved, they would fly back and get the visa put in their passport and then come back. So I was like, okay, well, if I don't hear anything by, because I applied in August, I believe. And I said, if I don't hear anything by November, then I'm just going to go. So I had booked my flight. I hadn't heard anything. And actually, right before I left, I had got a denial. And I was beyond shocked. I was like, what the heck? I was like, what happened? Okay, let me preface this because I actually did the visa process on my own. A lot of people hire lawyers to do it, but I had found this group on Facebook that had all of these resources that told you exactly what you needed to do, what documents you needed. It was so thorough, and there were so many people in the group that I was listening to their experiences and just getting just like absorbing everything. So I was like, I can do it on my own, right? So I actually did a consultation with a consultant before, and she told me that I could either apply for a passive income visa or a digital nomad visa. And I was weighing the two options, and she said it would probably be better for you to apply for the passive income visa. And I was like, okay. And looking at the different requirements, I personally thought it might have been easier for me to apply for the digital nomad visa. So I kind of went on my own path and applied for the digital nomad visa. And when I got the denial, it turns out that the income that I was getting, they didn't consider it a digital nomad type of income. So I had to apply for the passive income visa, which is what they told me to do in the first place, and I didn't listen. So luckily, I submitted all the documents that they needed for the passive income visa, and I had already had my flight booked because I got this back in like the end of October is when they sent me the denial, and I was like, fuck. And I was like, I have my flight in November. And I was like, well, shit, like, do I take all my stuff? Like, what do I do? And so I submitted all the documents like in a matter of a day to the embassy for the passive income visa. And they said it could take, I don't know, it could take a few weeks to find out. So I was like, okay, well, I had already had all of my stuff packed because I packed it like weeks in advance because I don't like to wait to the last minute to do things because it stresses me out. So I had start packing well in advance, and I had already had my flight, and I had already in order to get the visa, you had to have an apartment, you had to have a bank account, you had to have your tax ID number, you had to have all of these things just to apply for the visa. So I had already had an apartment here in Lisbon that I was paying for like from September, and this was November now. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to submit the documents and cross my fingers that it's approved, and I'm just going to go. And then if it doesn't get approved, then I'm only going to stay for 3 months and then go back. And I was so stressed out. And I think because of this whole situation, I tend to keep everything inside until I have a guaranteed answer before I tell people. So when I left, I kind of didn't know if I was leaving for a long time or a short time. So I kind of didn't really tell that many people that I was leaving. I kind of was did it on the DL a little bit. Because I wasn't sure and I didn't know if I was going to be gone for a short time or a long time. So I kind of told like a small group of people that I was leaving, and I don't even know if I still went into detail with everything because I was so stressed out about it and I didn't want to talk it up and keep saying that I got denied because I didn't want that to come into fruition. So I was just saying that I just have to wait and see what happens, and I'm either going to be going for a long time or a short time. So I had like a little mini party before I left, and before I left, I was going to all of my favorite places. And there's places in LA that I lived in LA for 22 years. So there were still some places that I hadn't visited, and I was telling myself I was going to go before I left, but some of them I didn't. I think I think at a point I really loved living in LA, but at a certain point I just realized that I wanted more, and I felt that I had did everything that I wanted to do in LA, and it it just I was ready for a change, and I knew from way back when that Europe was always going to be the next stop if I was ever going to move outside of California, because there was nowhere else I wanted to live inside the States at all. I was like, I want to be outside of the States. So before leaving, I was going to my favorite hiking places. I went to my favorite beach. Me and Bella kind of said goodbye to this beach that I would take her to all the time that she loved because she loves to play in the sand. And I went and ate like all of my favorite foods before I left. Luckily, I had already kind of weaned myself out of like certain foods so that I knew that I wouldn't be able to get here. But what's so cool, it's like I have this favorite ice cream that I have. They don't have the flavor here that I love, but they have the brand here, which I didn't know. But of course, at the time, I was eating up all my ice cream, right, before I left. So I did all of this before I left, not knowing if I was going for a while or not. But once I arrived in Portugal, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, I got an email and it says, "You're approved." Oh my gosh, it was like the weight of the world was lifted off of my shoulders because I was so stressed out the whole time when I first got here. But once I got that approval, I was so excited and so ecstatic. And yeah, I was so happy. It all worked out. It all worked out. I want to talk to you about the ride to the airport right before getting on the plane to come to Portugal. It was kind of like time stood still for a second. On the way to the airport, I was taking in everything. I had taken that drive 1,000 times, but this time was different. I took in everything. I looked at all of the street signs and the billboards and coming into the airport. And I had my cousin drop me off, and I had Bella with me, and Bella, she was my security blanket for sure. I'm not sure how well I would have been able to transition moving here, not having her by my side. But I took everything in, and it was, in a way, it was kind of similar to all of the other flights I've taken out of Los Angeles to go somewhere. So in a way, it was like, oh, I'm just going on a trip. In another way, it was like, no, you're going for it. But yeah, I remember that trip to the airport, and I unloaded all of my bags because I brought everything. 9 duffel bags full of stuff. And what was so crazy is like I'm bringing all of this stuff, not knowing if I'm actually going to be able to stay or not. But I was thinking for the positive, and I'm like, it's going to work out. So I'm bringing all my stuff. So I did, and I had Bella with me, and we got on the plane, and it was a really nice journey. We had a layover in DC, and it was good for her because she got to go potty and relax a little bit. And then we took that final journey from DC to Lisbon. And I would say, arriving in Lisbon, like if I needed any other signs to tell me that I was doing the right thing, they were just being shown to me everywhere. Because once we landed in Lisbon, I'm walking up the ramp, and I look at the clock, and it says 11:11. And for all you spiritual folks out there, you know what that means. So that was another sign for me to say that I was on the right path, and I was doing what my heart knew was right. In that moment, I realized that leaving LA did not mean that LA left me. LA will always be a part of me. It was the place where I became who I am today. It was where I grew up. It was where I spent my 20s. It was the learning years, the boot camp years. It was all of that. LA will always be a part of me, and I am grateful for the opportunity to have that experience. But now my time is here in Portugal, and I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful that the country welcomed me here, and I have been treated so well, so kind. And the Portuguese people are the most kind, the most welcoming, opening, loving. I don't know. I am very, very grateful. I've learned that home isn't something we lose overnight. It lingers in the music we still listen to, in the recipes we still cook, in the habits we never noticed we kept. Sometimes we carry a place long after we left it. Maybe that's what home really is. Not somewhere we stay forever, but somewhere that quietly stays with us. I'd love to ask you something. Is there a place that you left that still feels like home? Maybe it was a city, maybe it was a neighborhood, maybe it was a house you grew up in, or maybe it was a version of your life that you'll never get back. I'd love to hear your story. Tell me in the comments. What is the hardest goodbye you ever had to say? Until next week, I'll meet you somewhere.